Hello, my lovely friends. My name is Ava, and here are some romances with one of my favorite tropes ever, which is the forced proximity trope. I do already have a few rec videos with this trope. I'll link them down below if you need even more. But here are 10 romances with the forced proximity trope. I am obsessed with this trope, so let's get started. If you tell me a book has forced proximity in it, I'm gonna pick it up, I'm gonna read it. I don't really need to know anything else. The first one that I have is His Tesoro by Emily Rossi. This is an arranged marriage mafia romance. It's also age gap. These two characters get put in arranged marriage. The hero is a mafia boss and the heroine is from a rivaling mafia family, and they get married to form an alliance. The heroine has EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I can't really get into the specifics right now of to what is that medical condition. It is a sister condition to my own, but she does use a wheelchair. She's an I can't ever say that word. Ambulatory wheelchair user. Basically a wheelchair user that is physically able to walk, but a wheelchair helps them with their mobility. Ambulatory? I just said it. Anyway, so she has a wheelchair and she also uses a walker, which is the first time that I've seen like a walker used on page by like a young person, because I use a walker. I got like teary-eyed. That's like the only time I've ever seen that. So anyway, these two characters meet on their wedding day when she is rolling herself in her wheelchair down the aisle, and the hero is like shocked because this is not what he expected, but he does not think any less of her by any means, and he just falls so hard for this woman. It takes a long time. So when they get married, she's basically just put in his suite in his rooms and is told to stay there. He wants to keep her safe and doesn't really know what to do with a wife, because this was kind of sudden of him getting a wife. So there's this forced proximity relationship because they are in this apartment in his housing together, and he doesn't really know what to do with a wife. But she just wants to make him as happy as possible. She wants to show him that she is capable of being a wife, so she like helps around the house and she bakes, and she's a really big baker. So I love that. There's also great caretaking here because she does have flare-ups in this book. So as someone with also chronic illness, I really appreciate that representation. I love seeing a hero caretake for the heroine who has chronic illness. I have Storm by Carrie and Cole. So these two characters meet on a very snowy night. They're in like the middle of nowhere, and the heroine's car breaks down, I want to say, or falls into a ditch. I can't remember, one or the two. And the hero is in his truck behind her driving down the road. There's like no one else. He comes across her and he's like, "Here, come in my truck, like we'll be together for warmth in this snowstorm." And he has this really big dog, so all three of them are stuck in this very small truck together to survive this snowstorm. And that's just the first chunk of the book. I won't spoil what happens next, but he might or may not be a famous rock star and she has no idea who he is. But like the snowed in part, oh, it's so good. I love like a snowed in romance. I Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. This is a second chance romance. These two characters met, I want to say a year or two ago, and they fell hard for each other. And it's a second chance romance where in the present time, they are both hired to work the same wedding together. So the heroine is a wedding planner and the hero is a very popular, beautiful florist. And they're having to be in close proximity again after their awful breakup. They have to be in each other's lives again and work this wedding together. So that's like the forced proximity aspect. And it was so angsty. Like I freaking love this book. Only in Forever by Chloe Lisa is another one. So these two characters met in college. The heroine's sister is one of his sister's best friends, if I'm not mistaken. And she ends up learning that he is kind of like struggling with the romance bookstore that he is currently opening. And she's like, "Hey, I'll help you with this bookstore if you help me with my writer's block on this thriller novel that I'm writing." And he agrees. She moves into the apartment with him that's above the bookstore. So that's the forced proximity aspect. Other than the fact they have to work together, and that's like forced proximity, they also now live together. They're roommates. So yeah, it's a golden retriever hero, black cat heroine romance. Temptation by Jenna Hartley is my next one. This is an ex's dad romance. The heroine is trying to earn enough money, save up enough money to help with her mom's medical bills. Her mom is very sick, very ill, and she decides to become a house sitter. This company like hooks her up with like these house sitting gigs to like house sit for like very popular people, very rich people. So she ends up becoming the house sitter with this like giant mansion. The new owner like hasn't been there yet, but she's gonna take care of the place for him. One night, like she hears someone come in when she's trying to sleep. She's like, "No one's supposed to be here." And she's absolutely terrified and thinks that someone is robbing the house, but she ends up finding her ex's dad sitting in the doorway. She's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I own this house. What are you doing here?" So yeah, these two are in forced proximity because she is staying at the house, taking care of it. while he is going to be staying there as well. And there is some tension, some angst, obviously, because she did date his son. But technically, these two characters met before her and the son did. So just putting that out there. I have a Mafia romance. This is Mafia Mistress by Mila Finelli. The heroine is arranged to marry the hero's son. Actually, the hero is a very big mafia boss in Italy. I think it's Italy. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And he sends over this woman from a mafia family in America to marry his son because his son needs to get married to strengthen their family. But then he gets to know the heroine and sees how much of a brat she is. She's how stubborn she is. And he's like, you know what? I think I want this woman for myself instead. So forced proximity aspect is that they're all living in the same house together. And there is tension because at first, like, he's trying to resist himself because that's going to be his son's fiance, but he just can't help himself. He can't help but fall for her. I have a shorter book. This is Silver Foxed by Kayla Gross, if you want a little novella. So this is a dad's best friend romance. The heroine is staying at the lake house for summer break. I think she's a graduate student or something like that. And she doesn't know that her dad actually told his like best friend at work, like, hey, I can see you're really stressed right now. How about you go stay up at the lake house a few hours away and like just relax and stuff. And so she's terrified when a man walks in to the cabin and she's like, no, lake house, not cabin. Sorry. And finds like a man she's never met before. And he's like, oh wait, no. Your dad let me come in. I'm so sorry. I will leave. And she's like, you know what? No, we can share the space. It's fine. And they find out that they're very physically attracted to each other. And they're like, okay, well, we can hook up, but it can't go beyond this weekend when we're staying here. But then they realize like, oh, we can't leave each other alone. Like we have to be together after this. I have Second Edition by Cleo White next. This is a single dad nanny romance. It takes place at a beautiful chateau in Paris. But it first starts out in America. I can't remember what state for the life of me, but it's in America. And our two main characters actually meet at a academic party hosted by the college's president, and they end up meeting and hooking up that night. The hero is a professor, not a professor, I'm so sorry. He's the librarian for one of the libraries on campus at this college. And he doesn't realize that the woman that he hooked up with is actually the president's daughter. And that's the reason why she was at the party. She doesn't work at the college at all. That's the president's daughter. But they hook up and think like nothing of it afterward. They were like maybe wanting to like see each other again, but then she walks into an interview to be a nanny for the hero and she's like, crap. And the hero can't really say no because the president recommended her. And so he can't say like, oh no, I can't hire her because I screwed her. Like he's not gonna say that. So he has to agree to have this woman be his nanny and go to France with him and his daughter. His daughter is 6 years old and she's autistic and she needs like one-on-one care. And the heroine does a fantastic job with her and she truly falls in love with his daughter. So obviously the forced proximity part is that they're living in this chateau together, having to live in a common space and trying to keep their hands off of each other after that night that they were together. I have a monster romance. This is To Ravish a Rogue by C.M. Nascosta. So it's kind of like a historical romance, but also if like monster creatures existed, and our hero is like the serpent shifter monster creature who is also a pirate captain, and the heroine is a monster creature. You don't know what she is. You don't like through the whole book you're trying to like figure out what kind of creature she is, and the hero is too. He's like, what is she? But the heroine needs to get across a certain sea to meet up with her sister. Her sister's in trouble and she needs to go find her, but no one will take her because she is a woman. And she's like, it doesn't matter that I'm a woman. Like I need to go on this freaking ship. I need to go see my sister. No one will take her though because she's a freaking woman. So she disguises herself as a like a little ship deck boy to sneak onto his boat. And he immediately can spot her. He's like, that's a freaking woman. And so he does things to like get on her nerves to try and make her admit that she ain't like this young boy. It's a good one. The forced proximity part is obviously that they're stuck on this boat in the middle of nowhere together. There are other like people on the boat, but he also makes her sleep in his room with him. And lastly, very short and sweet, is an Omegaverse novella that you can pick up. This is Heat Haven by Sarah Blue. Heat Haven is like a facility made for Omegas. If you don't know about Omegaverse, what Omegas are, I can't really explain it now, but I think my friend Samantha from Books with Samantha has a video. She loves Omegaverse books. I got this recommendation actually from her. But Omegas have like this period of heat and they need people to service her, so alphas and maybe some betas to help during her needy time, okay? And that's basically what this one is about, our heroine figuring out who's gonna be like her people who are gonna help her through this period of time, and they're all in this forced proximity in this room in Heat Haven. Anyway, so you have it. Those are some forced proximity romances. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books or if you plan to, and if you don't feel like commenting anything else, you can leave me a pink emoji of some kind down below. But anyways, thank y'all so much for watching. I will see y'all soon in my next one. Bye y'all.